Hello everyone, and welcome to this video which is in our Engine Snack series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler, and we're taking a look at a game between Stockfish and Komodo Dragon from the TCEC Season 22 Super Final, Game 46, a Caro-Kann Advance short variation. This was quite an interesting line. It featured an idea of Alexander Ipatov, which is in this position to play bishop b4 check, and then later to transfer the bishop via a5 to c7. Looks a little bit odd, but the point is that in this variation with the pawn on e5, black often has some difficulties finding spots for both its king's knight and the king's bishop. So putting the bishop on c7 out of the way frees e7 for the black knight. However, yeah, that bishop is not so great on c7. It's a little bit dodgy, but it has been played by players like Magnus Carlsen. Peter Heine Nielsen, his second, tweeted, "Are you reduced to playing Magnus openings now?" So, well, we reached after some interesting play. We reached this position after move 16, and Stockfish is really going for a big bind, on the queen side and also on the king side. And here Stockfish thought for 20 minutes, which, I mean, that's a long time for a human, but if you think how many billions of moves Stockfish must have looked at in that time, quite amazing. Stockfish was choosing between two moves. The move played in the game, which basically made me say boo, and another move, which we're going to look at here and which I really, really liked. In the game, Stockfish played bishop d3. What I didn't like about it was that it gives black the opportunity to really flatten out the play with some exchanges, and we get this sort of structure. And white is a little bit better with a space advantage and probably slightly more chance at making some breaks than black, but I really was expecting black to be able to hold this. Now, yeah, the game turned in the end in the blitz zone after many moves, and we'll have a look at that in another video because it featured some stunning play from Stockfish. But in general, I think that this position really was really should have been a draw. So g4 was the move. That was the move I wanted. Stockfish's favourite move, g4. And it's very thematic for this line. White's idea simply is to play f5 and expand the space advantage, attack the black king side. And I think the key point about it is that, black's counterplay is not at all obvious in this position. I mean, there's stuff like I could try b6 takes a5, but that looks really slow. c5 looks impossible. f6 is going to weaken the black king side. g5 looks suicidal. So, you really have the feeling that white has got plenty of time really to build up the position, and black doesn't have any counterplay at all. But yeah, when you start peering into what Stockfish was considering, then yeah, you realize how complicated chess is. And of course, the really impressive thing is that it's like I played some games with very long time controls between my engines, but you just see the critical line, 20-25 moves deep, just popping up plump into the PV of the engines immediately. Whereas yeah, I mean, if I saw even a hundredth of this line, I would be so proud of myself. So castles is what Komodo wanted here, and now there's a little bit of a difficulty here, because after f5 it looks very strong, but black's idea is to go knight takes f5, forcing the exchange of knights, and then to play queen h4. And yeah, this is actually quite tricky. Yeah, and the reason again is it's all about tactics. So rook a2 played, rook a2, another favourite move of Stockfish, as we saw in another video. King h8, and then this incredible idea, bishop h5. The idea being to try and hold back the black king side play a little bit. But black has f6, e6, and g6 in this position, just breaking things up, and then rook g8. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit tricky for white because the g file's open, this one is weak, and we've also got the attack of the bishop and the queen on h2. To be honest, for human play, it's still exceedingly complicated, but both Stockfish and Komodo were seeing a 0.00 there. So, you know, I think I'll take that one on trust, because I've got lots more variations to show you. So instead of that, what Stockfish wanted to do was just to play bishop d3. And actually, you know, Stockfish is just looking to remove that bishop, make f4 to f5 easier, and then simply, you know, play these moves, rook a2 to g2, and then pile in. And again, it's not easy to see how black really should be striking at the white position. You know, if you play a move like f6, then knight c5 is going to be very nasty, hitting e6 and b7. But now we get the stunning stuff. So bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, and now the move c5. And this is a quite astonishing move. Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture, really. I mean, you can maybe see some of the little tactical ideas, but to have any sort of confidence that it's all right for black is, well, takes a lot. What's the idea? Obviously, b takes c5. I've got knight takes a5. That's great. D takes c5, funnily enough, is met by this move knight c6. We've freed c6 for the knight, and we're actually double hitting h4 and b4. Now, yeah, I mean, the thing that would, you know, worry me slightly, to be honest, would be this sort of position and wondering whether, yeah, you know, whether I'm going to get killed on the king side somehow. But it doesn't really seem to be the case. And there's a very big resource for black here. That we're playing knight f3, queen e7, rook b1, knight c6, g5, and then this lovely idea, h5. The idea being that we go queen takes h5, g6. There's not going to be any real open lines on the king side anymore. Going to take quite a while if to get a rook on the h-file, and meanwhile you're going to be taking this pawn and getting some counterplay. It's not, you know, easy or clear or anything, but yeah, I mean, it really is working okay for black. So that's that one. But what about knight takes c5? Well, then we play this excellent move b6, and this is really nice. Actually, you've brought the knight into c5, and now you're playing b6, and you're exploiting the pin on the pawn on a5 to the rook on a1. Actually, funnily enough, you know, if I spotted this, then I might think, okay, well, yeah, you know, b6 is fine, no problem. I mean, that might actually stimulate me to play it, but the point is that the lines continue much, much deeper, because Stockfish's line was knight b7. Now queen to c8, you just play a6, and okay, your knight's a bit stuck on b7, but you're a pass pawn up. You'll solidify it with b5, and you've also got f5 breaks. So queen e8 was Stockfish's and Komodo's line, and now, yeah, the amazing thing about these lines sometimes that engines see is that they are virtually forced. I mean, you let the engines analyze at each step, and all they can really see is that single path. You know, it's like it's almost forced. Whereas you just think in such a sharp position, surely there are loads of things that I could do. I think certainly human players playing it would have many different stop-off points if they played 10 or 20 games from this position. But this was basically, you know, the line that the engines were calculating at move 18. That was basically what was being played in my engine matches afterwards. It's quite amazing. So we go f5, and then this move f6 again. And what's the idea here for black? Well, the queen's coming out to h5. To give some defense to, you know, squares like h6, but also to do some counterattack. And remember, that knight is on b7. It's not great. So queen g3, queen h5, rook a2, getting ready to swing the rook over. It's going to be a dangerous threat, that one. And now we go knight c6, and you know, black is just really hacking away at this white centre. And of course, if you get these two moves in, you know, we're also going to have knight e2 check threats. Then you know, plenty of unpleasant stuff there. So knight g6 played, knight takes d4, queen d3, bishop e5. Black gives up the exchange, but look how active the pieces are. Knight on d4, bishop on e5. But still, you know, black's position is still, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it still feels kind of weak. You know, this pawn on g7 is backwards. We've got the g file. These pieces are strong, but, you know, can they really stay there? Well, king h1, b takes a5, knight c5. And now some moves that are hard to really understand. Queen e8. I can't imagine withdrawing my queen from that attacking position. Takes, and then the calm king g8 here. So black just calmly repairing the position, and but I suppose, you know, if you just calmly look at what you've got black's actually got 2 pawns for the exchange, so materially it's really not that bad. And well, what we were getting in the end was knight d3, knight c6, queen c5, king h7, b takes a5, knight takes a5, and there's a really beautiful tactic coming up. So rook takes a5, we go bishop d6. And we're attacking this one, and we're also threatening queen e4 check. So queen takes d6, queen e4, king g1, queen e3, queen e2, another check, and rook takes a5. And well, I've pointed this out an awful lot of times, that, you know, the engines, when they're defending, they're often looking for a position in which the opponent's got a knight and you've got the pawns. And somehow, of course, you know, the drawing tendencies of a knight, rook and knight versus rook is just a draw. That really does give black, you know, excellent drawing chances here. And these were all ending in draws. You know, my games between Dragon and Stockfish and Dragon on long time controls. So yeah, not 100% easy this to draw for black, but I think the key point is that the king is very, very weak, so there are lots and lots of checks, and the black king is actually not too bad at all anymore, funnily enough. So there we are. I mean, that's I think a nice little insight into, you know, what engines are thinking of. And of course, you know, from a human point of view, if I played a move like g4, my winning chances would be massive. But I think probably if the engines played against each other, the drawing tendencies would be massive, simply because they're capable of calculating these astonishing lines. Probably, you know, a move like bishop d3, that's a Komodo dragon winning a Polish defense as white. A move like bishop d3 is rather dull. You know, it wasn't for you know, probably about 120-30 moves. It wasn't particularly exciting, but it probably is, you know, the best way of winning a game. Better than such a tactical line where both engines see everything and it just sort of converges to a draw. But well, still lovely to see these sort of variations and to see how much the engines see. There we are. Hope you enjoyed that. Wasn't really a snack in the end, was it? It was a little bit longer, but I think it was worth it. If you enjoyed the video, why not give it a like, or subscribe to the channel, or even take a look at my new book, The Silicon Road to Chess Improvement, packed full with great engine games and lots of tips for working with engines. And otherwise, you know, thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you at the next one.